At that time, Jesus said to his apostles, "A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher, and the servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign those of his household? So have no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the dark, say in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim on the housetops. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I also will acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I also will deny before my Father who is in heaven." The Gospel of the Lord. My sisters and brothers in Christ Jesus, the context of the Gospel passage today is Jesus sending his disciples to preach the Gospel, and he sends them with some instruction. In Matthew chapter 10 verse 16 he says, "I'm sending you out like a sheep among wolves." That was yesterday's Gospel reading. He warns the disciples about the persecution they would undergo while preaching the good news. In this context, Jesus repeats 3 times the phrase, "Do not be afraid." And in the entire Bible, we find this word, "do not be afraid," 366 times. That every day God promises to us, "Do not be afraid, I'm with you." This implies that even though they will be tough on you, you need not be afraid. Jesus assures them his protection and their uniqueness through these words. "But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows." In today's first reading, we heard from the book of prophet Isaiah. The background of today's text is that one day prophet Isaiah goes to the marketplace and he looks at the people and says, "Woe to you, drunkard." And he looks at the money lenders and says, "Woe to you." And to the prostitute he says, "Woe to you." And when he comes in the presence of the Lord, in the presence of the holy throne, he says to himself, "Woe to me that I live among these people." Then we hear the seraphim takes a burning coal from the altar and keeps it and cleanses his lips. And we see that how he trembles in fear in the presence of the Lord. Prophet Isaiah was unwilling to be a messenger. He was made worthy and his defects were taken away. He surrendered, saying, "Here I am, Lord." My sisters and brothers, Jesus called unworthy people and gave them an awareness that although they were invaluable in the eyes of the world, they were priceless to God. This trust made the disciples go out to proclaim the good news without any fear. Jesus wants his disciples to fear God and to trust in him. To have fear of God is to show reverence for the one who created us with love and who sustains us with his compassion. The positive fear of God enhances our spiritual maturity and prudence. It liberates the soul from the oppression of sin and protects us from the evil trap. So, my dear sisters and brothers, we must fear God out of love, not love Him out of fear, said St. Francis de Sales. Here is the example of fear out of love. A man renounces his habit of smoking, for he was deeply in love. He leaves it not because he fears his beloved, he left it because he loved her. It happened not out of fear, but out of love. In a relationship with God, we should give up on sins because of our love for Him, not because He will punish us. We know He loves us, then why to fear Him, my sisters and brothers? So let us avoid sin to express our love for Him. So during this Mass, let us ask God for this grace. Lord, give me the grace to love you, not out of fear. I love you because you are there for me always, and you are the author of my life.